And up next here we got JP Bays. He's making his comeback. He's going to be taking on Marcus McGhee, who just debuted in the UFC on short notice and made a big splash. And JP Bays, he hasn't fought in almost 2 years. And the last time we saw him, he was taking another loss. He got his face broken by Cody Durden, which was some real bad injuries that he suffered in that fight. And he just hasn't got it together in the UFC. He's just had constant issues with in terms of being able to get the job done. Like, I feel like he's looked better outside the UFC. He's had better performances, and he hasn't been able to bring his full abilities to the octagon yet. And Marcus McGhee had no issues performing on under the lights in his UFC debut, winning there against Journey Newsom. He had a very, very short notice for the fight and ended up dominating. Newsom got the finish on the ground, which was pretty surprising, and looked good out there. So McGhee kind of showed that he could be a player at 135, maybe right outside the rankings, and he's going to always be a very, very entertaining guy. But UFC's testing him here because they're giving him a grappler. They're giving him an opponent that is an aggressive first-round submission artist that Marcus McGhee, that's kind of been his issue throughout his career, is his wrestling, his defensive grappling, and his submission defense. So JP Bays has a winnable matchup, and Marcus McGhee definitely has a winnable matchup. And when you look at how these guys match up, I mean, Bays, I do think that he's better at 135 than 125. At 125, it just seemed like he couldn't take the punishment and just didn't look quite as sharp anymore. It seemed like the weight cut was really getting to him. And when you look at his 35 fight against Montel Jackson, he did get really close on a rear naked choke. He got close on a guillotine in the first round, and then after that, he kind of just got beat up. But he did, almost get the finish over a high-level guy. And if he can get those same positions against Marcus McGhee, we could see JP Bays going home with his hand raised for the first time in the UFC. But the issue is the striking for JP is he has okay striking offensively, but he struggles against guys that throw straight punches. He doesn't have good head movement, very hittable. He slows down pretty significantly, and Marcus McGhee is big for the weight class. He is a big 135er. JP had a lot of fights at 125, and I think he's going to be undersized in this fight, even though I think 135 is a better weight class for him, trying to take down. And if he can't submit or get McGhee out of there early, I think it's going to be a long night. I think he will start to get tired. And stand-up-wise, McGhee is very good with his combinations. He rips the body, he comes up to the head, very fluid. He has nice kicks. I think he should be a lot more boxing-oriented in this one. Try to attack the body early and then open up the head and get him out of there later in the first or in the second round. And I do feel like this is going to be a finish either way. I think JP has a chance to get that first-round submission. And if Marcus can kind of survive that initial grappling storm from JP, I think that's all JP is really going to have for him. And I think McGhee's going to take over, start to break him down with the striking. And McGhee's a powerful guy and a finisher. So I think once he starts to get ahead and you see Bays get tired, you'll see McGhee start to dominate the fight. We saw Montel Jackson kind of allow JP to get dropped and recover. And Marcus McGhee isn't going to do that. He's going to hunt the finish. And I think he'll get the finish early in the second round. So I'm going with Marcus McGhee via second round KO TKO. But I do understand why people are taking the shot on JP, just because style-wise, this is the style that McGhee has struggled with. And Bays is live for that first round submission. So if you can bet JP Bays first round submission and then maybe McGhee round 2, round 3, I think that's a good way to go about it here. So I'm going with McGhee, though, via second round knockout.